now for everybody's favorite guessing game, What's My Line? Remington Rand, makers of the Remington, the world's #1 electric shaver, present What's My Line? Now, let's meet our award-winning What's My Line panel. First, the popular columnist whose voice of Broadway appears in the New York Journal-American and papers coast to coast, Miss Dorothy Kilgallen.
On my left, pinch hitting for Steve Allen, who is spending Christmas with the boys in California, is a very good friend of mine and all the panel, Mr. Peter Lind Hayes.
Thank you, Dorothy. And since this is my first experience on What's My Line, I have been watching the program for the past several weeks, and I've noticed that Dorothy always discovers what somebody's line is by looking at their hands. And so, if I may, I'd like to quiz her for a moment and ask her if she knows what I used to do by my hands.
No, Peter, I can't tell a thing from that. I'm sorry.
Well, I used to be a pickpocket. I would love to pick the pocket on my left because the pockets belong to a very lovely young lady and the star of The Late Love. Is it Late Love?
Late Love is right.
Late Love, lovely Arlene Francis.
Thank you, Peter. It's nice to have you aboard. And on my left, the columnist of This Week magazine and publisher of Random House Books, Mr. Bennett, Cerf.
There's been a terrible mistake here tonight, Arlene. I asked Santa Claus to send me Mary Healy, and by some error, they sent me her husband, Peter Lind Hayes. I don't quite understand it. Well, on my left is, oh, my moderator, and oh, my papa, John Charles Daly.
I got 3, but none as big as you are yet, Bennett. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to What's My Line. Once again tonight, as is our custom, we've invited some guests over. The guests are here to do one thing, and that is to tie the panel in knots if possible, and I think perhaps we'll have some success tonight. With some very interesting occupations, we also feel they'll carry home some prizes. We'll have a famous guest challenger before the panel later on, but now let's get things underway. Here is the first challenger whose line the experts have got to spot. Will you sign in, please, sir? You're doing fine. Ed Butters. The extra Butters. First of all, would you mind telling us where you're from?
Coldwater, Michigan.
Coldwater, Michigan.
Right.
Well, this is the kind of time of year when, actually, I imagine if you come from Coldwater, you'll get a little cold even in New York.
I am, yes.
But you have never felt cold till you go over and take a look at that panel, because I think you're going to give him some trouble. Would you go over and meet him?
Sir, Mr. Butters? Yes, sir. Thank you.
Hello, sir.
Hello.
How you do? I sure would like to look at your hands. It's all right with you.
All right, Mr. Butters, will you come over here now and sit down next to me, please? And we let the panel have one free guest, simply because they've had a chance to see you, look at your hands, find out where you come from. And we always begin free guesses with Miss Kilgallen.
I think he's a poet.
A poet, Mr. Hayes.
Well, I think he's a talent scout for Strike It Rich.
Miss Francis.
I think he's with the House of David baseball team.
Mr. Cerf.
I think he's a demonstrator for Remington Rand electric shaver.
No, I'm afraid not. We'll let our viewers at home have a further look at Mr. Ed Butters of Coldwater, Michigan. At the same time, we'll tell them what his line is. The panel's going to have to be. Well, Mr. Butters, I think the rules may be known to you. Every time you get a no answer, I flip one of these cards, and as one of our viewers was nice enough to write to me last week, 10 flips and the panel's a flop. Mr. Butters is self-employed. With that, let's begin the general questioning with Arlene Francis.
Mr. Butters, I feel that you must work outdoors partly in your job, do you?
Yes.
Do you use your hands in your job?
Yes.
Would you say that you work in soil at all?
In soil at oil? At all? In soil.
Do his hands touch the soil?
Yes, I mean, yes, I know.
I mean, he told us his hands were soiled, and that's
Oh, do
why-
his shoes touch the soil? That'll be 1 down and 9 to go. You can't get out of that one. Mr. Cerf.
Mr. Butters, you look like the artistic type to me. Does your work in any way touch on artistic matters?
No.
Two down and 8 to go, Miss Kilgallen.
You work partly out of doors. Do you ever do any of your work indoors?
Yes.
Is your work mental as well as physical?
Yes.
You do work with your hands,
Yes.
but you work with your mind, too.
Yes.
Is there
Any
anything...
man who is pursuing gainful occupation in which there is a relationship either to a product or any other entity must use the mind in some degree. You know, we don't want to confuse it.
You'd be surprised, John.
Thank you very kindly.
Well, is there anything creative about your work?
Yes.
It's a very interesting question. We have here some rather broad designations. We have to perforce use them. And when Miss Kilgallen uses the word creative, she usually has some reference to artistic endeavor. I think on that case, we'll give her no. All right with you? 3 down and 7 to go, Mr. Hay.
Do you, by any chance, have anything to do with youth, young people?
Yes.
You do.
There is a relationship there that I must admit is tenuous, but if Mr. Butters wants to be that generous, you go ahead, Mr. Hay.
I'm very grateful to Mr. Butters. You say it's tenuous?
Yes.
His relationship with youth
It is not direct.
has nothing to do with his job.
Well, there is a tenuous relationship between what he does and youth, but then there's a tenuous relationship between what we do and youth. Go on from there.
Do you like children?
Yes. Have several.
Do you reside as your residence, by any chance, on a farm?
Yes.
It is. I wish to heaven I would miss one, because every time I get a yes, I can't think of anything else.
Doing great, Pete.
You reside on a farm.
Yes.
Do you have anything to do with the stock on the farm?
Yes.
Good heavens. Do you raise stock? Do you breed stock?
Yes.
Is it a four-legged animal that you are interested in?
Yes.
Golly, I wasn't so successful. I'm getting terribly nervous about this thing. I really am. Has it anything to do with cattle?
No.
4 down and 6 to go, Miss Francis.
Well, out of respect for Steve, can this animal be as big as a bread box?
Can this animal be as big as a bread box? Yes.
Uh-huh. Is it a fur-bearing animal?
No.
Not as we understand
No
fur
fur.
bearing. No.
Oh.
5 down and 5 to go, Mr. Cerf.
Mr. Butters made up for it. what the animal lacks.
All right. Mr. Butters, is this animal or any part thereof that you raise used for food?
Yes.
Is it a farm animal, a domestic animal that can be found around the farm?
Around the average farm, you mean?
Well, up in Coldwater,
yes,
Michigan,
and,
let's say.
Around what?
Up in Michigan, would it be
I
found?
mean, we're just trying to be helpful there. You mean an average farm thing? Is this
I
a
mean, on a
domesticated
farm,
animal in
does
terms of...
Mr. Butters have them on his
part
farm?
part of your question, yes, and part of it, no.
Oh, sometimes this
Mr.
animal...
Butters doesn't need any help from me. Go ahead, Bennett. I'm going home.
Does this animal, Mr. Butters, sometimes roam at large through the Michigan woods?
No.
6 down and 4 to go, Miss Kilgallen. I'm going to give you 1 more minute to try to get there.
Well, that last answer rather stops me, but it's given me a weenie, too. This animal, is it usually, when full-grown, larger than a pig?
Yes.
Does it have a sort of a hairy coat? Is that how you would define it?
Yes.
Is this animal traditionally rather busy at this time of year?
Yes.
Does it have horns?
No.
7 down and 3 to go. Wait a minute, I want to be sure.
Well, what I call horns, you know. Branches, you know what I mean. I'm not a...
I'm going to flip all the cards. Actually, Mr. Butters makes a legitimate point. Technically, there is a great difference between the horn and the antler, but I'm sure you had reference to antler.
Dorothy Mendenham.
No, I think Dorothy had it right, and Dorothy found out what choice she did. We'll flip all the cards anyway.
Dorothy, antlers are shed each year. Horns are alive throughout the animal's
Well,
life.
I know I'm not very good at zoology, but you know I meant reindeer.
Well, Mr. Butters does indeed raise reindeer. What a happy occupation and what a happy result. You get the full prize, and our thanks for being a grand guest. Nice to see you, Mr. Butters. All right, let's see what the panel can do with another challenge. Would you sign in, please, ma'am? Joyce? Joyce Meyer, is that right? Miss or Mrs.?
Mrs.
Mrs.?
Mrs.
Mrs. Meyer, where are you from?
From Comanche, Texas.
Comanche, Texas. Well, it's nice to have somebody come from Texas to visit us. 4 people over there who probably go to Texas sometime. We ever let them off this program, but you go over and say hello to them while they're still here, will you?
How are you, Miss Meyer?
Hi, Mr. Meyer.
How are you? All right, Mrs. Meyer, will you come over here now and sit down next to me? And I think things will move very rapidly, you'll find, once you do, because now that the panel's met you, we give them one free guess as to what your line may be. The free guesses always begin with Dorothy Kilgallen.
Airline hostess.
Airline hostess, Mr. Hayes.
I think she's George S. Kaufman's hairdresser.
Miss Francis.
I think she raises Indian corn.
Mr. Cerf.
I think Mrs. Meyer dries off wetbacks.
No, I'm afraid nobody has it. We'll let our viewers have another look at Mrs. Meyer, and at the same time, we'll tell them just what it is that Mrs. Meyer does, but the panel's going to have to work. And panel, you remember we've got a promise to get on the usual 3rd contestant tonight, so let's get right into the swim of this. You know the rules, Mrs. Meyer, and flip one of these, 10 flips, you've got it. All right, Mrs. Meyer is salaried. Let's begin the general questioning with Peter Lind Hayes.
Ooh. Well, Mrs. Meyer, do you deal in a product?
Yes.
Is the product, would the product be used around the house?
Yes.
Here we go again. Would the product be used by particularly a housewife? Would it,
Yes.
would it be used in any room in the house?
Yes.
Well, when your product is used correctly, does it entail any physical activity?
Yes.
Well, would it, for instance, keep a housewife, or would it make her work around the house less tiresome? Well, does this product come with attachments for getting around corners and under beds?
No attachments for getting around corners and under beds. 1 down, 9 to go, Miss Francis.
Is this product, Mrs. Meyer, anything that can be worn?
Yes.
Would it be considered a piece of apparel then?
No.
2 down and 8 to go, Mr. Cerf.
Well, Mrs. Meyer, would this product be ornamental?
Yes.
If it's worn by a lady, would it show if she appeared with it in this theater, let's say?
Yes.
Certainly could.
Is it worn, then it's worn on the outside, right?
For the best effect.
Is this a rather small product, would you
Yes.
say? Is it worn on any of the extremities? By that I mean hands or legs, or fingers or toes.
3 down and 7 to go. That's our extreme, Miss Kilgallen.
Is this a luxury product rather than a necessity?
Yes.
Is this something that a gentleman might buy for a lady for Christmas?
Yes.
It would be a proper gift.
Oh, very proper.
Would it make her eyes light up?
Yes.
Well, if I bought it for her, it'd make her eyes light up.
Well, is it ever given on sentimental occasions?
Yes.
Does it have anything to do with love?
Yes.
Helps it along sometimes. Wouldn't you think?
don't think so.
Yeah.
This is solid rather than liquid.
Yes.
I didn't know but what John's love life might be kept up by martinis.
Please, Mrs. Daly's listening.
Is this something that would come in a rather small box, smaller than a bread box?
Yes.
Would it ever come in a jeweler's box?
A jeweler's box? 4 down and 6 to go. That's, Mr. Hayes, I'm going to give you 1 more minute, because I don't think you're close with this one.
No, I'm not very close. Would this article be worn, would this be worn above the neck?
Yes.
Let's see there. Now, sit back, John. You'll go right through the windshield.
Could be. Could be. I'm just stroking it, that's all.
Well, does it have anything to do with the eyesight?
No. That's 5 down and 5 to go in 30 seconds. Miss Francis.
It could also be worn on the body, I take it, as well as on the head.
Yes.
And it comes in a fairly large box, this gift.
Yes.
It could be large or small.
Yes.
Could it be bought at a department store?
Yes.
Actually, I'm with the 30 seconds is up. I'm going to ring the curtain down. It's still late. I already rang the curtain down, but Bennett, I think, had it. You win the full prize, and Mrs. Meyer packs mistletoe, which you can wear everywhere and anywhere. Mrs. Meyer, thank you very much. You stumped the panel, and that was a wonderful idea. Thanks for being our guest on What's My Line. It's nice to see you. And now, in just a moment, we'll meet tonight's mystery guest. And now we come to the special feature of our program, the appearance of our mystery celebrity. My friends on the panel are blindfolded because they'd recognize our guest. The blindfolds are all in place, panel?
Yes, sir.
Good. Will you come in, mystery challenger, and sign in, please? As you know, in the case of our mystery challenger, we dispense with all of the preliminary questioning, get right down to the facts of the case, and we'll ask that Miss Dorothy Kilgallen give them to us.
Well, I heard a whistle in the audience. Do you often get whistles?
No.
Miss Dorothy, I must say this. I think that our guest has exhibited seemly modesty, but I'm quite sure that he gets whistled at a good deal by the young people.
Well, thank you, Tom. Are you in the entertainment world?
Yes.
Are you in motion pictures?
Yep.
Are you what I might describe as a glamour boy?
I'll do it for you. Yep.
That depends, ma'am.
Are you appearing in a motion picture that's playing in New York now?
Might be.
You would know, wouldn't you?
Nope.
Actually, I think might be is the only fair answer because I'm not aware of everything that's on the street, but I think what our guest is saying is that there are enough pictures extant in which he appears so that one of them might well be on Broadway right now.
Right,
well,
smart fella.
If he's who I was thinking of, he'd know, so I'll relinquish. I guess I gotta know. Peter, you're on.
Well, are you a romantic figure on the screen? I imagine you are. Either that or my wife is in the audience and was whistling.
I'll answer that one. Yes, I would say that our guest is a romantic figure. He's a very accomplished and talented person, but there's a romantic aura to most of his roles.
His voice sounded like Grandpa Moses. Do you sparkle occasionally in Western stories?
Try to.
How now, brown cow?
Don't call the mystery guest a cow.
You usually win the girl. That goes without saying.
Nope.
What?
Really?
No?
I usually die before that.
I will say this, though, Peter. I think he's won the girl enough times to give you a go-ahead on it.
Well, are you originally from the East?
Yep.
Then have you had legitimate training, too, before you migrated to films?
Yep.
Oh, golly.
You can pass, Peter, anytime you want to, you know.
Well, I have an idea, but...
Well, go stab at it.
Well, are you a sort of a brawny leading man? Are you, I mean, the muscular type on the screen? For instance, if you played westerns, have you ever played a prize fighter on the screen?
Yep.
Was it a very wonderful picture by Stanley Kramer?
Yep.
What is it, Peter?
Did you just recently challenge Jack Dempsey to a duel?
That's unfair.
Are you, by any chance, the golden boy, Kirk Douglas?
Kirk Douglas, run! Kirk Douglas is always full of surprises, and I want to ask if what I hear is true. You've made a new movie that's about to produce called Act of Love, which I understand you did in both the French and the English. Is that right?
That's right, yes, I did.
Did you do the French voice and everything? When you were...
Yes, I didn't give it quite the falsetto that I gave it tonight. But I did it in French and English, yes.
Well, that's wonderful. When are we going to see it here?
It'll be coming out, I think, at the end of January or sometime in February.
Well, we shall find it, I think, an act
Who
of
wrote the
great...
dialogue for that picture, Kirk? I just want to get a plug-in for Random House author.
Irwin Shaw.
Irwin Shaw. Well, it would
And
seem...
Jeff Cassell wrote the French dialogue. Is he also with your house?
No.
He will be.
He will be. And Kirk Douglas did the dialogue for both of them, and the season's greetings, of course, from all of us, and our thanks for taking time out to come and visit us.
Thank you, glad
Nice
to be
that
here.
you've been a guest, and would you say hello to the panel first? Please go on. Our panel, let's see what we can do with another challenger. Will you sign in, please, sir? A very fine, bold handwriting. Charles Winselberg. Is that right, sir? Winselberg, where are you from?
New York City.
You're from New York. Take a look at them. Look at him, because you're coming with me. Right over here, please. We are very short of time, Mr. Winselberg, so we're going to dispense with your chance to meet the panel formally. They've had a chance to look at you. We'll go right to the free guesses, which will begin with Miss Kilgallen.
I think he's a watch repairman.
A watch repairer, Mr. Hayes.
I think he makes concave balloons for pot-bellied bubble dancers.
Miss Francis.
Oh, we've had mistletoe and reindeer. I think he must be a department store Santa Claus.
Mr. Cerf.
I think he wrote that old song, Down, Down, Where the Winselberg Flowed.
No, I'm afraid not. We'll let our viewers have another look at Mr. Winselberg, and at the same time, we'll tell them what his line is. The panel... The name out of there, this is Mr. Winselberg. You have less than 2 minutes to go. Mr. Winselberg is salaried. You understand the rules. We flip the cards. All right? Bennett, Cerf, you start it off. Real fast.
All right, is there a product involved?
Yes.
Is it a useful product?
Yes.
Is it a product I might find around my house?
Yes.
Could it be found in any room in the house?
Yes.
Would it be possible to do without this product?
Yes.
In other words, it's not absolutely necessary.
No.
Well, if you use this product, if you had it around, would you be able to do certain things that you couldn't do if you didn't have the product? Is this product by any chance alive, or has it ever been alive?
No.
1 down and 9 to go, Miss Kilgallen.
Is this small enough to keep in a dresser drawer?
Yes.
Would you ever keep it there?
No.
Well, he wouldn't, but somebody might, though, I think. You go ahead.
Is it solid rather than liquid?
Yes.
Is it something that Bennett might possibly have, from what you know about him?
Yeah, he might. Huh?
Yeah.
He might. Time for about 2 questions.
Is this by any chance a paper product?
A paper product?
Yes.
That's 2 down and 8 to go, and our time is, I'm afraid, up, so we'll flip all the cards by default of time. And Mr. Winselberg, it's too bad, because he has a very happy occupation. He sells wedding rings.
Oh.
And you win the full prize, and our thanks for being our guest for What's My Life. Nice to see you. Bye-bye. And that panel is congratulations. We got the third one in tonight, if only briefly. Now, we'll be back in just a moment of the year, which moves all of us, I think, to feel very fond of life and fond of our fellows. And so tonight I would like to say until next week, This is John Daly wishing you the season's greetings, Dorothy.
Thank you, John. Merry Christmas to you, Peter, and goodbye.
Mary Healy, Dorothy.
Yes, that too.
Hurry home, Steve. Good night, Arlene.
Good night, Bennett, and happy holidays.
Oh, I wish I had some of that mistletoe. I'll never do it anyhow.
Go ahead.
Merry Christmas, John.
From all the folks behind and in front of this program, from Goodson Todman Productions, who are our patrons, as it were, the best of everything for the season for all of you who are with us every Sunday night. Good night, and thanks for being with us on What's My Line?
On the next World Poker Tour, it's Poker in Paradise.
Yeah, baby!
Can professional poker pirates dethrone the Caribbean king?
Let's go.
Watch the Turks and Caicos Poker Classic, Monday, 9 p.m., 8 Central on GSN.
Keep the dream alive.